hey bro, we should really start to getting down to breaking down this UB press conference.
I don't want to.
But come on, dude, why not?
I don't want to admit that Ubisoft had the best press conference this far. I don't want to fucking do it because me and Ubisoft never gotten along. I had to call it their bullshit, and they finally had a really good press conference. I want to talk about it.
Come on, man. The Crew 2, Assassin's Creed.
You know what? Fine. It's only like 12 fucking properties to talk about. Okay. Ubisoft! Yay! Now, I wasn't really hyped for Ubisoft's press conference because in previous years it's always been like Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, other generic Ubisoft properties, Just Dance, other shit like that, and I've just never really been hyped for it. But this year they delivered. I'd honestly say that this is my favorite press conference out of the 3 we've seen so far. We still gotta watch Bethesda's, EA's, and Nintendo's. But out of like the 3 I've watched right now, they've had the best one.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and get right into it. And the one thing I do have to highlight right now is they spent a good bit of time with each game. They showed off here on the stage with people actually talking about game mechanics and what they're going for in gameplay demonstrations.
That they did. It was a good variety.
Yeah, like they didn't have a whole bunch of games to talk about. The games they did have to talk about, they went into a lot of detail about and had a lot of stuff to say about them. So that was pretty good in my opinion. So let's start with number 1 on the list. Got my notepad here as we kill off trees to make these videos. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
I mean, it's different than the usual Mario, and it is a turn-based game, to tell you that. Yeah,
this is basically Mario and the Rabbids games basically coming into one to make a new strategy game, and this was what they opened the press conference with, and they actually had good old Miyamoto here to promote the game. It's a Nintendo Switch exclusive because no shit, it's a Mario game.
Right.
So I'd say what really surprised me was how long they spent on this game, talking about like different gameplay materials, breaking down the gameplay and everything, and just showing information about the game. I like that a lot. Am I gonna play it? Probably not, but it looks like a really solid strategy game, and I really feel for one thing that they did in the middle of this press conference, because while Miyamoto and the CEO of Ubisoft are talking about the game, they show the creative director of this game in the audience and him getting emotional that his game's becoming a real Nintendo property.
Yeah.
Like, that was the best part of them showing off this game for me, because it actually showed, like, wow, he really cares about this.
Yeah, he was passionate.
Yeah. Then, next up, we have Assassin's Creed Origins. The logo's a triangle with an eye in it. Illuminati confirmed.
Open your third eye.
But nah, they had a CG trailer for Assassin's Creed, which that's fine. They already showed off gameplay at Microsoft's press conference, so they didn't really need to spend too much time on it.
Yeah.
And I will say that I at least like what they showed here, because I really like the imagery of ancient Egypt, but I've never been a big fan of Assassin's Creed, so...
Right.
It is what it is at this point. Like, if you play Assassin's Creed, you know what you're getting yourself into. You know what it's about. It's just, here's another AC game for you.
Basically.
So if you're a fanboy, another AC game to look forward to.
Right.
Then next up, we had The Crew 2, and they really wanted you to see this game, boy.
They really wanted to go all out on this one.
Because, like, we had the cinematic trailer, like, the showing off of the different gameplay, and then, like, the closeout trailer for this game.
Yeah.
And this one, they've actually expanded it to where it's all motorsports.
Yeah.
Instead of just car racing across the U.S. Now you have off-roading, car racing, boat racing, airplane racing, and like Formula 1 racing and everything. They added a lot to it, and while I do remember the first Crew getting like hated on by everyone on the internet when it first came out, who knows? This one could be good.
It could be.
I'll admit it was pretty impressive for them to be like, it's gonna have all this different type of stuff in it.
That seemed like a lot to like work on and put in the game. Like, you don't really see that much in a racing game nowadays.
Yeah, like usually they focus on like one or two types of racing. This one was just like, fuck it, we're taking it all out, boys.
Yeah, just about.
And then next up we have South Park, The Fractured Butthole. And that is some very clever wordplay on that title there.
That is.
Because it's meant to be like they're a group that's fractured, but they're still like the same kind of people, but they had the name put in a way where it sounds like Fractured Butthole.
Yeah. That was very good.
Yeah, and I heard the first South Park RPG game was really good.
Yeah, the Stick of Truth.
Yeah,
was pretty
good. This one also looks pretty good from like everything that we're showing off and like the different character customization and everything. It was just a solid show off of the game, it looks pretty good.
It does.
Like if I'd played Stick of Truth, I'd probably be in line to get this game because this looks like a solid refinement of what they laid down with that one.
Oh yeah, it does.
And then next up we have Transference, Ubisoft's VR property that they showed off, and this trailer was fucking out there, man.
This one was pretty trippy.
Yeah, I'll give it to them that people are actually committing to VR.
Yeah.
Like, it took a year to happen, but people are rolling out VR properties being like, we gotta see if this thing fucking sticks.
Yeah, we gotta try.
And I kind of like Ubisoft's way of tackling it more, where they only had one VR property to talk about, but it was a really big VR property to talk about. Like, they went into detail, they had a really super set up trailer, and it looked mysterious and actually interesting.
Right, yeah.
So, I'd say Transference looked pretty cool, and then they had Elijah Wood in the trailer.
Yeah.
So if you watch Lord of the Rings or like anything he's been in, you'd recognize him right there.
Right.
Overall, I'd say it looks interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
For like the first reveal of it, and it felt more like an actual game reveal than being like, "Hey guys, it's a VR property."
Right, and then showing off all like the basics of the. VR
I mean, what do you think of Transference?
I thought it looked pretty good. They definitely took a different approach than usual and stuff like that. So I'm definitely interested. I would get it if I had a VR.
It's just so much money.
Yeah.
And then we had my personal favorite of the press conference up next, Skull and Bones. Now, they showed off a lot from Skull and Bones. Like, I thought this was just going to be like one trailer, but no, we had the trailer, the gameplay demonstration, and like another teaser for elements in the game right there. They went ham showing off this game.
They did.
Because at first I was like, oh, it's just another fucking pirate game. Then they actually showed the PvP multiplayer of how all the different ships have like classes and roles to do, and how you're hunting after treasure and like the different things you can do to work together as a team.
Right.
I love these heavy class-based multiplayer games, and it looked like a lot of fun to me. The one thing I will say is that this is a game you're gonna need the squad for. Like, you're gonna need your squad of buddies if you want to do good in this game, because I feel like this kind of multiplayer with a bunch of random people online
is not gonna work out.
Yeah, because like they were talking about like how these ships need to know their roles and actively work with one another if you want to win the game types.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to cooperate, communicate, and it just wouldn't work out if somebody was like in a party, talking to somebody in party chat, and the other people was in game chat.
Yeah,
it just wouldn't work.
Like you'd need a full team of people, is what it sounded like.
Yeah,
but it looked like a lot of fun. If I had better internet, I'd probably want to play it just for the multiplayer because it looked like a lot of fun. Then they had like one last little teaser right at the end for it where they showed like a giant kraken or giant squid that looked really cool.
Yeah, it was like a giant like octopus under the ship, and it was like it was kind of like. The pirate ships is not the only thing you should worry about. You should also worry about like the natural stuff in the waters and such. So
I'd say Skull and Bones was my favorite of Ubisoft's press conference this year. I don't know if it was yours, but it looks good. It looks pretty good.
It looks pretty good.
Though I know better than to trust Ubisoft, so we're gonna wait and see for actual information to come out on this game. It's like I said with Anthem in our fucking Xbox video. Yeah. It looks good, but I don't trust you.
Yeah, we gotta give it some time.
And then I knew we were gonna have to fucking cover this. Oh boy.
Which one?
It was right after Skull and Bones.
Is it the
Yeah.
No.
For me, this was like the only cringy moment of their entire press conference. But Just Dance 2018.
God.
Because when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this looks kind of cool. Then they're like, Just
Yeah.
Dance 2018 with like a little thing popping up. And I was like, my interest just went from like here to here. And then like the music video kept getting more like ridiculous as they went forward.
They went from like some type of like electronic to fucking Korean pop music to fucking dubstep with the fucking pandas just dabbing.
Yeah, like to better describe what he just said, we went from like animatronic like dubstep dancing to like this 1970s style like upbeat pop of like other people dancing, but they wouldn't change out the dancers on stage. They just keep adding more to it.
Right.
So it kept making it get more ridiculous. So you have these robot guys, then you have these pop chicks, then we had this panda roll up on stage wearing some swag baller gear, and then he fucking dabbed right out of there after his one section.
He was like Superman dabbing. He was like,
yeah. And then we had another group pop up. Then we had that one semi-famous singer.
The Bebe Rexha. That
Yeah.
chick was hot.
Yeah.
But
That was Just Dance. They had a nice little dance routine for it. It was pretty ridiculous.
yeah, it was pretty weird.
I'm glad that's all it was though, because they were like nice little dance routine out on all consoles this year. Move on.
Alright.
I'm glad they spent this little with Just Dance. It was basically
Same.
like, it's coming, that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you. That was the last thing I needed, was like detailed analysis
About DLC and shit.
about fucking Just Dance. Spending time going into the game mechanics. So you're gonna move like this and then like that, and then that's the game. But yeah, it was a nice little fun dance routine for what it was. I'd say it was the most cringy part of the press conference, but
it was.
Thankfully they did not spend a shit ton of time on it. That is what I am the most hopeful for right now.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Then we have South Park Phone Destroyer, because one South Park property wasn't enough.
It just wasn't.
Basically, this was like the phone version of like South Park Stick of Truth and like the games that they're doing right now, which I mean, okay, it was like a 2-minute like trailer thing where they're like, we got a game that's South Park coming for the phone.
Yeah.
That's essentially what it is. I didn't really expect it to be anything else, and again, I'm glad they just didn't spend a shit ton of time on it.
Right, because I forgot they made games for the phone, Ubisoft.
Yeah, and then next up we have Starlink Battle for Atlas. This had to be like my second favorite because I loved Legos as a little kid, and then like they were showing like in the gameplay section and trailer where they were like modifying the ships by like putting new parts on it on your controller and stuff. Yeah. And while I'll admit that is gimmicky as fuck, it just spoke to my inner child.
Yeah, it's like, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, the game overall looks pretty decent. I wouldn't say it looks brand new. It looks like No Man's Sky and fucking, like, Skylanders fucking mashed into, like, one property. But it looked like a solid game. They spent a decent amount of time on it, and it just looks fairly cool. And it was my second favorite out of the whole press conference. And then, next up, we have the last 3 games to really talk about. Because like I said, there was only about 12 properties to really cover with this. So, next up, we have Steep. And I think Steep's out, but this was mostly just talk about the new expansion for Steep. Where you're at the Winter Olympics, boy! And if you're into Steep, it looked like a decent add-on. Again, this was one of those things where they were like, we know what we got. We know it's nothing like super big. We're just going to have the person here announce it, show off what it is. That's how I feel you should do like smaller stuff like phone games, Just Dance, and DLC, where it has very small presence at your press conference. I don't want it to be a main focus. But yeah, that was basically Steep, new Olympics expansion for it. And then we had the gameplay reveal for Far Cry 5. Now, I feel like I'm gonna piss people off by saying this, but I'm kind of tired of Far Cry at this point.
I am too. I'm gonna be honest.
Because this gameplay reveal looked almost just like the gameplay reveals for Far Cry 3 and 4. I'm not gonna say it looks like Primal, because that one was actually like semi-different, but like This one was like, everything we could show that's been in the previous Far Cry games is gonna be here, and if you're a fan of Far Cry, another game for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like the concept of like murdering off a religious cult in a fucking small town.
You're right.
But it is what it is.
It's what it is. Yeah.
I'd say it looks decent, and if you're into Far Cry, there's no reason to not be happy, and at least they were showing off gameplay and other details for it. Like, the big games that they came here with, they spent a good bit of time, like, talking about the mechanics, showing gameplay for them, and other things like that.
Yeah.
So, I like that.
Yeah.
And then next up, we have the closer to the show, which this was, like, the biggest mind blow they could have fucking had right here at the end, being like, hey, guys, you know this one game that came out 15 years ago?
15.
Yeah, 15 years ago, Beyond Good and Evil. Bam, Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah.
Fucking announced, it's happening.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, so that was the closer to the show. I think it was the best thing they could have picked for a closer.
Yeah, it was.
But I'm not excited for it because I never spent a shit ton of time with the first game. But if you were someone who played this game back 15 years ago and just got the announcement now, I completely fucking understand like why this would be your number one game of E3 because it was a solid announcement. There was a bit more fuck being thrown around than I would have cared for. Like the characters,
just to show them that it's a little bit more mature than the last.
Like, okay, we gotta be edgy now because our fan base has grown up a bit, but
right.
It felt like a bit much, and it overall pretty solid announcement. The chase scene that they had was pretty good. It showed concepts of like a newer and bigger world to explore and other stuff like that. And it was a solid announcement, and this was the best thing Ubisoft could have fucking closed on in my mind, because if you want to get people like a billion times more excited, like right at the end of your press conference, this is how you fucking do it.
Yeah.
So, Beyond Good and Evil 2, Far Cry, Steep, Starlink, South Park, Just Dance, Skull and Bones, Transference, South Park, The Crew 2, Assassin's Creed, and Mario plus Rabbids. That's all 12 properties here, and while it wasn't a shit ton of games, they had a decent amount of coverage for everything, and they knew the perfect time to spend on each thing. Yeah. Which this is why this is my favorite press conference that I've seen so far, because they really did spend the perfect amount of time, and it was the perfect amount of like showing off new stuff and information in my eyes, even though it wasn't a whole bunch to talk about, and it was just a lot of fun to watch for like the hour and 10 minutes that it was.
Yeah.
So overall, for that reason, I'm going to give Ubisoft's press conference an 8 out of 10. I thoroughly enjoyed it. How about you?
I would also give it an 8 out of 10, to be honest.
And you know, I'd never thought I'd say that Ubisoft has the best press conference, but this looks like they might have the best press conference.
Honestly, yeah.
So, yeah. Ubisoft. Out of nowhere.
Job.
Good job.
Yeah. You nailed it.